I got some live. How you guys doing? I just wanted to do a bed rant before my day gets underway. I had a massive sleep in uh, moment or night last night. I just woke up like an hour ago or something, hour and a half. I don't know. I just slept all the way through what I would have been normally up doing recordings and YouTube stuff and whatever. I just slept right through till like 9 or something like that. But today's shower day, which means I have to do that, which means my hair will take 3 hours to dry, at which point I will have wet hair. But I have a free dinner at Sizzler at 3, so I'll barely make it to that in time for my hair to be dry. So there's that. But I just want to rant a little bit, just do my little rant, or my big or medium-sized rant. Yeah, I'm happy that what's funny about the trilogies I've been doing. What's funny was. That I was supposed to do Huey Lewis before I did Kiss trilogy, but I couldn't find my Best of Huey Lewis. I thought I didn't have it, but I remembered having it, but I just couldn't find the sucker. So I did Kiss, which I think was good because I needed to get that out of the way. It's very hard to do God Gave Rock and Roll to You. It's like a symphony or something. It's very difficult chord-wise, and it's not an easy song. Something tells me if I'd have done Huey Lewis, I either wouldn't have done the Kiss or wouldn't have done it as well, because I gave all the oomph I had for Huey Lewis into the Kiss, and I did better than I might have done. I like how I did the Kiss, actually. I wasn't perfect, but whatever. And then miraculously, and then I was supposed to do Def Leppard, which is coming. Oh, I just said it. Oh, boy, it's me. But I couldn't. Before I got into Def Leppard, I found the Best of Huey Lewis in my CD. So I did have Huey Lewis. So I had to backtrack and do Huey Lewis after Kiss, but before Def Leppard, which is coming. I don't usually tell you guys what's coming, but Def Leppard is next. Okay. And I did Huey Lewis, which really was cool. I don't have a filter, really. I have Asperger's, and I don't think, well, I can't do that because he's a this and he's a. I love Huey Lewis is rock and roll to me. And I did it, and I enjoyed doing it. I love some of the songs he had were really like kooky and but funny, and also rock and roll. I mean, that guy, this is cool, And I'm glad. I just had a good time doing it. Thanks for watching it, those that did. But that probably came out better after having done Kiss, because I had Kiss out of the way. It wasn't looming over me. But I enjoy doing Huey Lewis. I rocked it out myself, but. Really genius guy. I mean, he didn't do drugs. That's why he aged well, I believe. He didn't do drugs, so he aged really good. So that's just my thought. But I got to get in the shower. It's shower day, and so I thought I would go live before that, so I don't do a 24-hour dark spot in my YouTube. It's nothing bad. I just slept so much that I didn't do anything in YouTube all night. I just slept the whole time. So there's that. And another genius point of Huey Lewis, I don't usually rant about particulars about my trilogies I've done, but here it is anyway. If you listen carefully to I Want a New Drug at the very end, you got to listen to the whole thing, and you got to hear carefully. The guitarist for Huey Lewis, which was really a good guitarist, I mean, that guy rocked, plays Purple Haze in the key of A, because I Want a New Drug is in the key of A, but Purple Haze is in the key of E, but the guitarist plays a line from Purple Haze in the key of A, which I don't think had been done in rock since, and maybe not even since then, till I put it in mine. I think that's genius. It's not a plagiarizing because it's in a different key, but he plays the lick to Purple Haze at the end of I Want a New Drug, but in the key of A instead of E, because I Want a New Drug is in the key of A, not the key of E as the Purple Haze is. And I put that in my take. So I wasn't the greatest thoughter of that, but I put it in mine anyway. I thought that was cool to add that. If you have to listen to the whole thing, I Want a New Drug, you can't just stop listening. You got to hear the whole thing toward the end. And he plays the dun 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 dun, and I thought that's really cool. So there's that. Do I want to rant about anything else? I just want to get in the shower. Let me think. Oh, I did want to say something else. Jeez, man. In the movie A Beautiful Mind, Ron Howard, who never did a bad movie, by the way, says of Russell Crowe's character, he had enough confidence / arrogance to do what he had to do, or something to that effect. And I thought about confidence and arrogance are really two words of saying the same thing. And if confidence is good, arrogance is good, at least to an extent, or at least a certain type of arrogance. It's good to be arrogant in some ways. Eddie Van Halen was probably arrogant in some ways, but he was also humble, and also loved rock and roll and smiled all the time, and was one of the second greatest guitarists of all time. But I'm sure there's some arrogance in there. He wouldn't have done that. And I'm developing some of such myself, confidence / arrogance. And I wanted to talk about some of it because I'm explained myself on my channel. Now I have to go back to a different anecdote. My sister, who I never really, I was me. We never really had anything. I never really was in, we just kept apart. But she said it's a cool thing to me in the late 80s, like 88, 89, something like that. She said to me, Jimmy, maybe you're better than Eddie Van Halen. And those words had never been uttered on this planet, is my view, until then. I didn't ask her to say that. I didn't even ask her the question. I didn't even say who's better. She just said, maybe you're better than Eddie Van Halen. And that just I never forgot that. And it stuck in my brain from then on. Like that can't be true, but yet maybe it is true. And if it is true, I get to own it because it's true. And I own what's true, whether my ego likes to take it or not, or something like that, And I not only took that as an internal thought point, but I've expanded it in a way that I'm going to tell you just this morning, in fact, to include my own confidence and arrogance in the equation of Shirtless Guy. And believe me, I don't. Eddie Van Halen was so awesome. I mean, I have no thought of trying to, but yet that doesn't mean that Cindy's statement wasn't true in some ways. And I expanded it this morning by even thinking, first of all, I had the philosophical type thought that you have to think you're the best, or you're not going to do what you need to do. Like Steve Vai said when he was replacing Eddie Van Halen. I thought about who I was replacing for a minute, and then I said, forget it. I just have to be me, because if I don't, I'm not going to be at my best. If I do that other thing, I'm not going to be at my best. And he just dropped it. And he rocked out with Eat 'Em and Smile, which in many ways, and for my book, actually blows away any Van Halen album, just not on the charts, just not in popularity terms, but in guitar terms, Steve, that was a great album. Never matched before or since is an argument to be made in rock and roll. At least mainstream rock and roll. I'm talking about Frank Zappa and all the weird stuff, and Alan Holdsworth, we call that rock and roll, but still very great. And I just expanded my own confidence / arrogance this morning to include, just out of the nowhere, I was thinking of my own music and how I was thinking of, I'm going into the studio, and I thought of Jimi Hendrix, who's even one step greater than Eddie Van Halen by most historians. And I thought, maybe I'm better than Jimi Hendrix. And as blasphemous as that sounds, I needed to say that, because I can't have a Hendrix looming over me that's better than me that I can't handle if I'm going to be Shirtless Guy to the nth degree. By saying maybe I'm better than Jimi Hendrix, I allowed that myself to encompass Hendrix and to include him in my palette, but not be so overwhelmed and intimidated by him that he looms from above. And that was a good thing for me. I needed to do that. If I'm going to go in the Hendrix, if I'm going to go in the studio with the moderator, I need to think that I'm just the dude. Hendrix or no, Van Halen or no. And it's not a matter of evil arrogance. It's just confidence / arrogance that I need to be Shirtless Guy. Anyway, love you guys. Peace, love, and rock and roll.